how do we represent this thing, and how do we make it exciting for the normal 8-year-old going to the attraction, not the owner.
Hi, I'm Russ, and this is the Memory Makers Podcast, the show that helps you create amazing customer experiences and make more memories. Hey, gang, I'm joined by Miss Katie Ross, Mrs. Katie Ross, apologies. Katie oversees our design department and is a fabulous mind when it comes to doing new things, solving challenges, and navigating the waters when it comes to all of our fun attractions and theming and everything. So welcome, Katie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Russ.
Yeah. So I was doing a little sleuthing. I mean, your resume is short because you have long tenures both here at Creative Works and at Facility Concepts, where you were at for 12 years. And you did some really cool work with all different types of clients. Do you mind giving us a little bit of like the high level punch list of some of the cool things you got to do prior to being at Creative Works?
Sure. So coming out of college, and it's probably not on your list, I actually worked for a kitchen and bath company for a couple months back in my hometown, and quickly realized that commercial design was where my heart, rested.
Yeah.
So I took the leap of faith and moved to Indy, started at FCI, had the opportunity to learn basically from the ground up, all about quick service restaurants. So some of our largest clients were McDonald's, Yum Brands, so Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut, Long John Silver's.
I feel like it's that camp song. Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken and Pizza Hut.
But we were primarily focused on serving the front of the restaurant. So anything from service counter forward, working through space planning and finishes and just trying to maximize the number of seats for those restaurants.
Sure.
Because when you're, serving as much food as they want to get people in and out. There is a linger time, but they obviously are trying to just fill the seats and make sure that they have plenty of space to accommodate. So learned very quickly how to space plan and meet code and do all of those things, and learn about ergonomics.
And so many things come together with all of that, because you're looking at finishes of like, okay, how is this going to hold up over time? And people are moving in and out of the seating. And so learning what materials lend themselves better or age more gracefully or hold up over time, as well as, again, like, okay, well, what are people going to do after they're done in line, and people flow? Like, so much of that translates over into what we do, through the attraction side,
just
too.
The operations side of how, that 16-year-old who's working at the restaurant's going to go clean the tables or not clean the tables. And, how do you make sure that the space is in a way that it can be cleaned easily, and there's no trash gaps and things of that nature. So it's very transferable to our industry, and so much of it is just, it's all about how to deal with people and kind of get them in through the door and enjoying the space, and then leaving and be like, I think I want to go back there again. So it all plays together.
So there's so many things, and this is when I tell people when they ask what we do, and I'm like, okay, 30,000 feet we do really groovy attractions that have this positive impact and all of that, but I said the pyramid, like, that's just such the tip of the iceberg of what has to actually go into making those things come together, because it's just like everything from, you're doing pseudo like ergonomic design. You're doing, all of these different things. And then as soon as you make something idiot proof, God will provide a better idiot. And so like, oh shoot. Okay. Well, that's a new one that we didn't think would be needed to, kind of anticipate. Absolutely. Yet somehow someone found a way to test it. So, when we look at the one, I always tell people we're just ridiculously lucky to get to do what we do, but because we get to see this tangible North Star of people enjoying the attractions or having all of that, and to kind of look at what goes into making some of these things really immersive, I'm always excited when we get to collab on projects or talk through like, hey, this is a customer's vision, this is what they're trying to do, but okay, now how do we take this idea that's living in someone's head and start to make that abide the laws of physics? And, you know, what's going to start working with some of that? Yeah. It's a really fun puzzle to solve, let alone like the cool, just whatever the thing is going to be. Right. When you look at some of your favorite projects that you've had a chance to work on, are there any that jump out at you as, gosh, I either learned a ton from this or it was just a really unique, cool thing to do? Like what are some of those that stand out for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the biggest things that, you know, I come from that interior design background. So I'm looking at things as this puzzle of space planning.
Yeah.
And, you know, how can I make this thing fit into this other area? You know, early on, I was faced with some interesting facilities where I remember one specifically, Drakeshire Lanes in Michigan.
Yeah.
Where they were doing a renovation where they were taking out some of their bowling lanes to then put in a laser tag arena. Problem is, because of the way the facility was built, they had a really large overhead beam that just split the space in half.
Yeah.
To try and maximize square footage and gameplay area. It was the challenge of like, how do we get an ASA in this space to really elevate the experience? In doing so, we had to get really creative with, okay, let's play with the ramps. Let's play with how we can have kind of walkout landings and areas that almost just created this idea to go from one side of the beam to the other, but in a way that still was within
code
the
and
means of pricing and code and compliance.
Well, and how
all
to turn that bug into a feature and all of that. It's so funny you mentioned them because we just came across paths with them at a trade show, and so now that we're getting ready, because that was 10 years ago now at this point. One of the first ones that I got to help tackle. Yeah, so we're gonna do some fun new stuff, and they're looking at adjusting, so we won't have to fiddle with the beam as much this time, which will be good. So
super exciting, and also a little disappointing to remove a challenge. No.
Yeah. It, when you think through, especially with most of our attractions being primarily themed attractions, right? And so you're doing this bit of storytelling, but you're also having to think through some game theory that's going on with these different experiences. Is there anything that you look at, because sometimes people need, hey, we want a little sizzle to go along with the steak, but we have to play with things like budgets and how is that going to work? From a design process, like obviously having, hey, this is a focus target of kind of where we need to come in at, so that way we can make all of that work. Sometimes, and we were talking about this before we started recording, it was like, hey, there will be projects where eventually we want it to be this much larger grandiose thing, but we kind of have to do it out in phases in order to make sure that they've still got something that really delivers the goods, but leaves flexible, room for growth and evolution. What are some of the things that come to your mind as you're planning through those types of challenges of, okay, what are some of the best ways that we can hit this with a really good core deliverable, but then grow it and evolve it over time? Yeah.
So I think one of the things that our team does really well is looking at how we can kind of offer that base level experience and then leave areas for growth and kind of additive items in the future. So we tap into things like, colors as far as like finishes and paint. You can do a lot with paint.
Yeah.
We have an incredible muralist team that, we can give them the idea of this is the big, fascinating like dino I want. And then they're like, okay. And it smashes it out of the park every time. And you're like, oh, that was way better than I even thought it would be.
Makes me really self-conscious about my stick figure drawings.
Yes, I'm like, I thought I was an artist, but nope, I am a hobbyist. No, but being able to tap into just that artist resource and have that ability to, to pull those visions out and make them better. And, we can utilize things like graphics or lighting or, projection mapping or just general projection. Even just basic, like obviously I love our foam sculptures and being able to have like a really immersive oversized prop that serves as a photo op and, elements like that. But those would be something that would be easier to add in a future versus, as a foundation, like let's just start with something on the wall. Let's do a logo sign. Let's do, where there's more of a backdrop and then be able to pull in that oversized element in the future just to really, drive in that like wow moment. But being able to just have those areas for growth in the future is pretty impactful.
Well, and I think, and we even, when I talk with customers, I'm like, look, it doesn't have to be, don't let me talk you out of getting something that you really want or think is really important, but this ability to have it be a little bit different each time has such a huge impact for the guests when they come back in, and it feels like there's new stuff to discover too. And so I just like the beam, like we can turn that bug into a feature and still be really efficient and responsible with budget and space and all of it. When you were first learning kind of the nuances of something like a laser tag, let's say, and again, besides, I always say, like, just where we were 10 years ago versus what we're doing now. Like, not that what we did back then wasn't good, right? But, like, holy smokes, it just feels like we're constantly taking on new tools or trying new things, and it's just elevated. What are some of those things that you and the design team do to continually kind of pour in, whether it's ideations, are there, team drills that we run of like, all right, guys, we're doing prehistoric stuff today. And then like having them do that. Like, how do you keep make sure that you stay enthused and get to nerd out on new things and find ways to incorporate that into your work?
For sure. I mean, it's definitely a balance because while I wish we just had time to sit and think about the next cool thing, we're busy. We're fortunate to have a lot of work on our plate and being able to just work on the next best thing. But I think a lot of us are nerds in our own right, and we do kind of tap into things like movies and comics and games and just general pop culture. And like from an interior design perspective, I read all the interior design magazines and try and keep up with the trends and kind of look to what's coming and take any of the input and influence from the world that we can. But as far as like keeping the team creatively motivated, we definitely try to find creative outlets, whether it's let's take 2 hours on a Friday and pull out a game like Hues and Clues, where it's you're thinking in a creative way, but it's much more applied to the game aspect,
right?
And the dynamic of just kind of freeing your mind from, how do I process this mural,
right?
Or how do I do this floor plan? But it's allowing us to build as a team.
I like that.
I mean, we try and do just general like design charrettes, as I would call them, where it's just like a 3-hour blitz of like, all right, let's all ideate together. Let's come up with this dino theme that we want. And pull from each other's, past and experience and just general ideas and feed from each other. So I think being able to have that team dynamic that truly does build from those thought starters is pretty incredible to have.
Yeah, and to find that one, I love it because it allows you to draw, like we have such a collaborative piece, and you guys are always very patient with me when I collaborate with you, but it's bless your heart, Russ, and then just send me on my way. But it like looking at, okay, shoot, like this is the direction that they want, and sometimes what's in their head versus what they're saying aren't always the same thing. And so there's also this little bit, sometimes they're Dr. Phil moments, and other times you're playing Sherlock Holmes to try to tease out what direction of, we thought that we wanted Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but really we wanted Through the Looking Glass, or vice versa. And to the layman who may not know all of the minutia that goes into the nuance between those, those can be things that we have to be cognizant of. And so like what type of clarifying questions, or putting together different mood boards and things to see like, are we on the right track? Is this what, and getting them to see and react to some of those parts of the process. Are there any kind of themes, whether it's across some of our attractions that we're doing right now that you're like particularly excited about, just because it's something different than what we've done previously, or just because it's as Danny jokes every time I say this joke, it's like that Hansel's so hot right now. Like, is there something that's just so hot right now that you're excited to get to use?
I don't know if it's hot, but we seem to have an uptick in more locale-based themes, which is fun because it is something different and does tend to play with nature. So we're able to pull in textures and colors that may not traditionally show up in a black light environment in the same way that we're able to pull into trying to create something that's more natural feeling. So,
for sure.
leaning into sunsets and sunrises and pulling in some of those oranges and coppers, and just being able to have those location based. I mean, it gives us the opportunity to do some research and kind of dive in
and see what's some Easter eggs sometimes, and other times it's just a big old billboard of like what it feels tailored, and there's nuance and there's cool stuff that you get to learn about those communities, and kind of leaning in. Like I think of stuff like the Copper Valley Project, where it's like, okay, well, we're going to dive into this lore that is Black Bart and what goes into that, and then start to get to pick cool old oil rig props and and stagecoaches,
telling that story through the kind of the, whether it's true or not, history that we're kind of creating, and being able to then pull that spin of, okay, how do we represent this thing, and how do we make it exciting for the normal 8-year-old going to the attraction, not the owner.
Right. Well, and you have to have that kind of Pixar mentality of like, hey, we need some funny jokes in here on the adult side, but like kids aren't, some of that stuff may go over their head, but but they're getting dazzled by these other elements. And so having that layered component and that 1-2 punch, I think it's a hard challenge.
It's definitely that piece where, I mean, I think people always say this is our clients, while we're catering to the children, your client is actually more the mom. So it's, and I'm a mom, so I can relate to this, where it's, when I walk into a space, what am I looking for?
Right.
And, I also am unique because I'm also a designer, so I'm looking for things that others might not. But, knowing that there are pieces and, little Easter eggs, or, like, if it's an 80s theme, it's that like, oh, this brings back, some things that I remember from my youth. Whereas my kids are like, oh, look, this is cool. So just trying to, bridge that gap a little bit and make it fun for both is a pretty cool little element that we get to deal with.
So when you go to, and do stuff with the family, do you tend to look under the hood, as I say it? Because I'm definitely like, I'm walking through the museum, I'm like, how did they do this finish on this wood? And then people are texting me back, it's sandblasted, or it's this or it's that, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm learning. But it drives Tiff nuts, because like when we're going there and I'm walking around, or like Rinker's playing on that new Hungry Hippo arcade game or something like that, and I'm over here like watching the guy play a Wizard of Oz pusher to see how long he's staying and all of that. So it can make the family trips a little interesting sometimes.
I mean, you definitely have a better appreciation for the how things get to that level, and I do have to sometimes remind myself that I'm supposed to be enjoying the experience and like allow myself to be immersed. When I go to Disney and you're standing in the ride queue, I tend to look at going, oh, how did they do that rock work? Oh, cool, look at that sign. I bet no one else even noticed that sign. But that's the first thing that my eye was drawn to. Or my kids are just like,
they're just seeing their peripheral visions turned on. It's the forest in the trees kind of moment.
So trying
for sure.
to be in the moment while also definitely looking under the hood.
So. What was a recent thing that you and the fam did together, like a venue that you guys went to?
We just got back from Destin on a family vacation to the beach. We did not make it to any true FECs in the area. Unfortunately, we really enjoy some of those down there. But we did go to a restaurant that was themed.
Oh, nice. Which one? I just zapped it out of your brain.
I know. I'm like, what was it called? I just remember that it was alligators.
Cool.
I think it was Fuddpuckers.
Oh,
maybe what it was? Yeah. My kids like that because they like to feed the alligators.
Nice.
And, but it was just fun because it's just a fun, vibey environment.
Yeah. Well, and it has a personality to it. And I think that's the other kind of, not magic wand that needs to be waved, but again, you have to, it has to be an extension, or it has to feel like a person almost that you're meeting, because it's, okay, do I want to spend more time with this person, or it needs to have kind of a soul and a vibe to it to resonate and make a deeper emotional connection. So feeding alligators definitely is a vibe.
It's like we went to go see the alligators, we stayed for the food.
Yeah.
Whereas we were actually hungry when we went.
Yeah.
And it was like we were going to eat, and then the alligators alligators were the bonus. But
okay, nobody just decide that you're going to get alligators just for this, though. I'm sure it comes with a slew of extra.
Yeah, it was a little sad seeing so many.
Oh man. Well, I just assume any body of water above 6 feet across has at least 2 alligators in it, and because that's just my Midwest paranoia.
Yeah, I think that's fair to assume when you're in Florida.
I love it. So before I let you go, one of the last questions that I always like to ask is either a favorite audiobook or a quote or a podcast, and or something that it could be something that you've used for however many years, or something that you came across yesterday that you liked and that kind of moves the needle for you.
So I tend to listen to podcasts during my work day. Been fairly busy, so I haven't listened to too many, but some of my go-tos are definitely April Garcia's Pivot Me.
Very good.
I'm in her mastermind, so it very much rings true to the conversations that we have on a weekly basis, and it just kind of dials them in and drives it home. Big fan of Mel Robbins and her podcast. There's one called Empower Her, and it just kind of taps into the psyche of being a leader and a woman, and how to navigate that water and be kind of the entrepreneur of your life. And so just try and do those things. I am also listening to the Housemaid audiobook, which is only because I keep seeing the ads for the movie, and I'm like, I don't have time to watch this movie. So it's kind of trashy, but also it's a fun little
when we
diversion.
Girl talk later,
podcast.
I'll get the deets from you on it, and that may be a new rabbit hole or something.
So it's kind of fun.
I'm. Is it a contemporary storyline, or is it like Downton Abbey?
Oh,
like
no,
timeline?
It's like a newer timeline.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Well then, we'll have to pick that up so we can. Girl, you won't even know. So I love it. Well, thank you so much, Katie. It's always, we get to do this off camera plenty of times, but I always love getting to dive in a little bit with you and learning a little bit every time we do. So I appreciate you. Thank you all for joining us. If there are ideas or topics or people that you want to see on the podcast, hit us up on social media, and we'll be more than happy to get that thrown into the mix. We always appreciate that 5 stars. If we've earned it, please and thank you. And be sure to check us out each week as we have new episodes coming out, and we'll catch you on the next one, Troublemakers. Oh, and shout out to Mikey Mike on the 1s and 2s. Oh my gosh, I almost didn't do that. And now we'll see you on the next one, Troublemakers.